I grew up in Cutoff, Louisiana, small town down the bayou, the kind of place where everybody knows your family, and your family's been there longer than most. I loved it. I still love it. But when I was 22, I packed up and moved to New Orleans to start my career. And it was the first time in my life that I was completely on my own. And somewheres in those first couple of years, figuring out a career and figuring out adulthood, Lee and I took a trip to Walt Disney World. Something happened on that trip I didn't expect. For the first time since I left Cutoff, I felt like I could exhale. The job stress, the trying to figure it all out, 20s, all of it gone. The second we walked through those gates, Disney World just entertained us. It gave us somewheres to completely disconnect from the real life, fully in a way that nothing else had. We didn't know it yet, but that trip set something in motion that ended with us owning a piece of this place. Today, I'm telling you about the whole arc, where it started, the years before we bought in, and everything nobody tells you before you sign a Disney Vacation Club contract. The real stuff, not the brochure version. I'm Lee with All About the Duck. And this is part 7 of Disney World, 100 Trips of Hard Lessons. If you missed any of the earlier episodes, they're linked in the description. This is one we've been building towards. The whole series. The early trips out of New Orleans weren't extravagant. We were young. We weren't early in our careers, and a Disney trip meant saving up, picking the cheapest motel that worked, and making the most of however many days we could afford. A lot of times we had to go see a timeshare to afford a hotel stay. But every single trip, the same thing happened. We'd cross over from the highway onto Disney property, and something in both of us would just exhale. It became our reset button. Stressful year at work, we'd go to Disney. Big life change coming, we'd go to Disney. It wasn't really about the rides, not even back then. It wasn't about having somewhere we could reset. It was about having somewhere that belonged to us, that felt completely separate from whatever else was happening in the rest of our lives. We did that for years. Different hotels, different trips, never quite the same place twice, because we were renting whatever fit the budget for that particular year. And every single time the trip ended the same way, in the car, already talking about when we could come back. We told the full story the night that changed everything back in video 2. The porch at Old Key West, Lee looking at me and saying she wanted to be able to come back here. If you haven't seen that one, it's linked on the screen. What I want to focus on today, everything that came after that moment, because signing the paperwork isn't the end of the story. It's where the real education starts. Here's the first thing that genuinely surprised us, and it has nothing to do with money. When you buy DVC, you buy points tied to a specific home resort that gives you priority booking at your home resort starting 11 months before your check-in date. If you want to stay somewhere else on Disney property, a different DVC resort entirely, your booking window for that resort opens up 7 months out. Nobody sat us down before we signed and explained how much that 4-month gap actually meant. If you fall in love with a different resort and decide you want to stay there during a popular travel period, you are competing with everybody else trying to book that same 7-month window, including people whose home resort it actually is. We learned to plan around that the hard way. Wanting a different resort, a busy season, watching the availability disappear before our window even opened. The lesson, choose your home resort carefully, because it's not just where you'll usually stay. It's your competitive advantage for booking everything else. And that advantage only extends to your own resort. The purchase price gets all the attention because it's the big, scary number. The dues are the number that follows you home. Every year, on top of whatever you pay to buy in, you owe maintenance fees on your points. The fees cover the upkeep of the resort, and they go up most years. Sometimes a little, sometimes more than a little. It's not a one-time purchase the way people sometimes assume. It's an ongoing cost for as long as you own it, and that number generally trends upward over time, not downward. We knew dues existed before we signed. We didn't fully appreciate how that number adds up over 20, 25 years of ownership, and how much it can shift year to year depending on the resort's needs. If you're considering DVC, do not just look at the purchase price. Ask for current dues per point, and ask how much they increased over the past several years, so you have a realistic sense of where they're headed. DVC points work on an annual cycle, and if you don't use them, you just don't get to stack them up forever. There's a banking window, a limited time where you could roll unused points forward into the following year, and a borrow option that lets you pull points from the next year onto this one. But both of those have deadlines, and if you miss them, the points are simply gone. We didn't lose points often, but we did it at least once in the early years before we understand the calendar well enough to plan around it. Lesson: treat your DVC point calendar the way you treat anything else that has a deadline that costs you real money if you miss it. Mark the banking deadline on your actual calendar. It is not intuitive the first few years, and it's genuinely easy to lose track of it. DVC contracts have an end date. You're not buying something you own outright indefinitely, the way you'd buy your own house. You're buying a deeded interest in a vacation points for a set number of years. And when that contract term ends, the ownership reverts back to Disney. When we signed, that date felt impossibly far out, decades out. The kind of number you don't really process as real. We're a lot closer to it now than the day we signed back in 2000. And I won't pretend that it doesn't make us think about it differently than we did at the beginning. We have used it for 26 years, and we still have 16 years to go. Our contract will end in January of 2042. The lesson: know your contract's actual end date before you buy, and think honestly about how that timeline lines up with your own life. It changes the math in the way the purchase price alone doesn't capture. This one's not financial. This one's just funny, looking back. The first time we told family and friends we'd bought into a timeshare, because that's genuinely the closet comparison most people have in their head, we got the exact reaction you're probably picturing. The raised eyebrow. The "are you sure about that" tone. Timeshares have a reputation, and DVC gets lumped into that reputation by people who've never actually looked at how it worked. We spent more of those early conversations than we expected explaining the difference. That this isn't a high-pressure resort presentation purchase. That it's tied to one of the most visited vacation destinations on earth. That we use it every single year and have for decades. Some people got it immediately. Some people still give us a look when we mention it. At this point, 100 trips in, we stop needing anyone else to understand it. But if you buy in, be ready for the conversation. It comes up more than you think. In 26 years of ownership, we've taken trips we never would have taken otherwise. One year we did a cruise. One year we brought 28 friends and family with us, and countless unforgettable vacations. But here's the thing to know about booking windows. The dues, the points calendars, the contract end date, the funny looks from family. Every one of those is real. None of them are reasons to regret it, because the thing that made us buy in the first place was never really about the financial math. It was about the feeling I told you about at the start. 22 years old, fresh out of cutoff, completely overwhelmed by New Orleans and adulthood and everything happening all at once. And finding a place that let us put it all down for a week at a time. DVC didn't create that feeling. We had it for years before we ever signed anything. What DVC did was guarantee we'd keep having it. It turned something we hoped we'd keep doing into something we built our actual life around. A piece of the place that gave us the reset button. Permanently reserved, year after year, no matter what else was happening. We don't tell people DVC is right for everyone, because it isn't. It's a real financial commitment with real ongoing costs and a real end date, and you should walk in with your eyes completely open to every single piece of that. But for two kids from Louisiana who found some place to completely exhale for the first time in their 20s, it was exactly right for us. Every year since, that place has been waiting for us, reserved, paid for, ours in the way that matters most. That's the real return on DVC contract. It's not really about the points. It's about never having to wonder if you'll get to go back. Next week, we're talking about something that might sound contradictory. How do you plan a Disney trip as carefully as we just told you to, and still leave room for it to be spontaneous? Turns out you can have both, and we're showing you exactly how. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. And as always, see you real soon.